Hey, everybody, this is Jack Hammer of the Santa Rosa Press Democrat. Hope you're all doing well today. It is Wednesday, the 31st of August, and the 49ers have gone ahead and they've made some more roster moves today. So I want to talk a little bit about their roster moves and also talk a little bit about the practice squad that the 49ers have put together. Let's go ahead and get started with the roster moves first. Before I do that, I want to just shout out Lucas Pesci, who's coming to us from Austria. He's a member of the Toolbox. That's why you see that $sign next to his name. He says, "Hi, Jack. Looking forward to a great show." Thank you, Lucas. This is going to be a little bit quicker than some of the other ones, depending on how many questions we get to the news of the day. So let's just get into it. Some of the roster news for the 49ers. Early this morning, there was a report that they had claimed offensive lineman Blake Hance from the Cleveland Browns. That was later confirmed by the team, along with the signing of Tyler Croft and Jordan Willis. The tight end rejoins the team, giving the 49ers now 4 tight ends. Jordan Willis, the defensive lineman, joins, now giving the 49ers 10 defensive linemen. Those kind of a little bit closer to the numbers that we'd expect. The interesting piece with Hance is that this is an offensive lineman who can play across the line, across the entire offensive line. He took some snaps with the Browns during training camp in 2020, about 100 of them in the preseason, actually before the 2021 season, excuse me. And then he's also played right tackle, left tackle. He's played some guard as well. So Hance is very similar to Daniel Brunskill in that he can play pretty much every spot along the offensive line. When that news was broken, as far as it being Hance being brought in, there were a number of questions as to who are the 49ers going to release in order to make room for him. Caught some people off guard, I guess. When you go back and you look at the initial roster, the 49ers kept 6 running backs, which is a little bit heavier than normal. Normally they go with 4 running backs and a fullback, which is Kyle Juszczyk. This year they went with 5. But in order to make room for Hance, the 49ers waived Trey Sermon, one of their third-round draft picks from a season ago. Sermon had a rough go of it during training camp. Not really so much in training camp as once they got into the games. He was okay at times during training camp practices themselves, but during the preseason games, you really saw him struggle. It just doesn't translate. And I think it was a little bit of a disservice to Trey Sermon in some ways, for him to be with the 49ers. Part of the problem there is if you watch Trey Sermon play throughout college, one of the bigger takeaways, I think, would be that he was a volume back, someone who played his best when he was given a high number of carries. And, he had some explosive runs here and there, but usually those explosive runs came later in games after he'd already been carrying the ball quite a few times. And being the backup in a rotation like they have here in San Francisco doesn't really fit his style. The way that they run it out of the shotgun and those kind of things did fit it, but he's just somebody that was going to need to get the ball a lot in order to really be effective, and that wasn't going to happen here. And it's very similar with, I think, Ty Davis-Price, the rookie. We'll see how things fare with him. He's another third-round draft pick that struggled during the preseason. Ty Davis-Price was somebody during his time at LSU who like Sermon, was a volume back. So just something to keep an eye on as we go into this. And just another reason, you look at it, and again, Jordan Mason excelled during the preseason. So you get he gets on the roster, Trey Sermon out in favor of Blake Hance. The other moves on the roster were safety Jimmy Ward and Curtis Robinson. They were placed on IR. Those weren't unexpected, as were the signings of Croft and Jordan Willis. All that was reported yesterday as likely to occur. So the big news there when it comes to the 49ers 53-man roster is the addition of Blake Hance and the waiving of Trey Sermon. So we'll see what happens with Sermon. He'll probably end up with another team instead of the 49ers. The 49ers, remember, they are 29th on the waiver wire. So anybody that they pick up needs to have been passed through by the majority of the NFL before they get to them. We'll see how that works out. Now, that last piece that I just said right there is very interesting when you look at the 13-player practice squad that the 49ers announced today. For the 49ers, they brought in back 13 of their own players. So they have their 53-man roster plus 13 of the players that were with them throughout training camp. They didn't bring anybody from another roster yet. They still have a couple of spots that they could fill, 3 that they can fill. The interesting piece with this, again, for all these players that built what was thought to be a very deep 49ers roster, these 13 players went through almost the entire NFL, went through 28 other teams before being able to be re-signed to the practice squad here in San Francisco. So just going through the list really quick, I'll read them out. Defensive lineman Alex Barrett, safety Tashawn Gibson, offensive lineman Alfredo Gutierrez, who is in the international program, safety Taylor Hawkins, cornerback Quantrez Knight, wide receiver Tay Martin, who was an undrafted rookie free agent addition. Another undrafted rookie free agent addition was Marcelino McCurry-Ball, the linebacker. He was signed to the practice squad, and so was Jason Poe. Jason Poe, a fan favorite throughout training camp and in the offseason. He lands on the 49ers practice squad. At wide receiver, there's a couple of veterans on that group as well. Wide receiver Willie Snead, the 4th, and Malik Turner. So 3 wide receivers for the 49ers on their practice squad. And then you get to the defensive line, and they have a defensive tackle, Akeem Spence, who is a veteran, and an edge rusher, Kamoko Toure, makes it back to the 49ers. And they even have another interior offensive lineman in Keaton Sutherland on their 53-man roster. So quite a group for the 49ers. A lot of guys that have been around there for a while, and it's a good deal, I think, for the 49ers. When you look at it, remember, now the rules are that you can pull players up from your practice squad for game days. So again, the way that the 49ers were able to work this, and one of the smart things that they did here was instead of having 5 safeties on their roster, they played it smart. They went ahead and they released Gibson and they released Hawkins. They were able to bring those 2 players back as part of their practice squad. They read the room right there. And then on top of that, when they get to week 1 in Chicago, if they feel the need to have a 4th safety active, they can decide that they want to bring Gibson up, or they can do that with Taylor Hawkins. Quantrez Knight has also shown a little bit of ability to do multiple things, whether it's in the slot or back at safety. And the same thing again at wide receiver with a player like Malik Turner, who showed out during the preseason on special teams and has been a very good special teams player over his career. So a lot of roster flexibility with the 49ers when you look at their 53-man plus their practice squad. I think that's what makes it so interesting is the fact that they can pull these players back and forth. 49ers have right now 53 plus 13. They have a nice 66-man, roster that they can work with. Some of those guys that are on their practice squad, though, could get picked up if another team wanted to add them directly to their active roster. So we'll see how it plays out as the season goes along. But just looking at it right up front, it looks like this practice squad is going to be extremely helpful for the 49ers. Like I said, it's not done yet. They have 13 signed. They still have 3 more spots that they can go. They can get up to a total of 16, which gives them 69 players, 53 on the active, and 16 on the practice squad. So we'll see how this plays out in the coming days for the 49ers. I don't think that we're completely set yet. I think there'll still be some more moves in the coming days. Tomorrow, we will be speaking with John Lynch and Adam Peters prior to practice for the 49ers, the first practice for Jimmy Garoppolo with the 49ers since he resigned. So we should get some good information from that. And then Green Glass Fool, he has a question over here. I want to hit that really quick. He says, why are they drafting volume backs in the 3rd? That's a really good question. Trey Sermon was a back who I thought the volume back in the 3rd round would have been okay last year. I thought Trey Sermon was going to be much better than he was. I thought he was very good in college. And so that was a miss on my part from watching his film. Then watching Sermon and Elijah Mitchell during training camp last year, it was pretty clear who the better of the 2 players were. And we saw how that played out on the field. And so I think they were hoping they were getting something that it didn't end up getting out of Trey Sermon, and it ends up being a bad pick. The 49ers having to waive a 3rd round pick from just last year. It sounds very similar to what we saw happen in Minnesota. Minnesota had, I think, 4 3rd round picks from last season, and I think 3 of those 4 were waived yesterday. So 49ers are doing something that some other teams in the NFL are doing, and Jordan Mason just outperformed Trey Sermon throughout training camp anyway. Moses, the DB disciple, says that Jack, my worst case was Knight ending up on the practice squad. I wished he made the roster. He's a little better than Thomas. I don't think he's better than Thomas on the outside. I think that's the reason why he didn't make the roster. Quantrez Knight is a very good. He showed himself to be good in the slot, and he showed himself to be a decent back at safety as well. I don't know about the outside corner spot necessarily being his best fit, so I don't think he's was really battling with Thomas for that. I think that was more of just having a guy that can do multiple things, and maybe one of the names that's not on this list that surprised me a little bit, and maybe he'll get added here, is Dante Johnson. Dante Johnson was somebody that was on the 49ers practice squad a season ago. He's been around the team, I think, since 2014, one of the longer running members of the 49ers organization. And he's not on the practice squad at this point. He's out there. We'll see what happens with Dante Johnson. He'd be another solid pickup, I think, for the 49ers to be able to bring in. And we'll see how things play out and if he is back by week 1. Luke is correcting me, and he is right. They have 17 spots because of the international player spot. That's the Alfredo Gutierrez spot. So they actually have 4 spots. They can get up to 17. The Sentinel says that the Niners should never draft another running back ever. They do way better finding gems in the undrafted free agents. Yes and no. For the most part, yes, you're correct. Like the majority of it is yes for you. So when I say yes or no, it's not a 50-50 proposition. You're right. Under Kyle Shanahan, the 49ers have been way better when it comes to undrafted free agents, but they did use a pick on Elijah Mitchell. I know it was a later round pick in the 6th round, but it worked out there. So you're right. I don't totally disagree with you. When it comes, they shouldn't draft another running back necessarily in round 2 or 3, but when it comes to who they selected to be running backs, they've definitely missed the boat with that. Alice 10, thank you very much. He says, you're the man. Thank you for the great content. I appreciate you too, Alice. Thank you very much. Michael says, I like Poe making the practice squad a quiet steal. Yeah, it's a good deal for the 49ers, and it's a good deal for Jason Poe as well. Poe developed quite a bit over the offseason, and he will now be able to continue to develop as a member of the 49ers. And this is a solid move for them because if they can get Poe to a position where he can play multiple spots along the offensive line, who knows what could end up happening for Jason Poe. But it was very good to see them be able to bring Jason Poe back to the practice squad. That was a good deal for the 49ers. Let's see what else was there. I think that's about it when it comes to the practice squad and the roster stuff. So just kind of run through the day once more. We weren't sure. We knew head into today. There was definitely a report yesterday that had mentioned that the 49ers would be adding Tyler Kroft and Jordan Willis to the roster and putting Jimmy Ward and Curtis Robinson on IR. That took place. The surprise on the roster today was Blake Hance, offensive lineman from the Browns, being claimed, and then the team waiving Trey Sermon as a response to that, needing to get the 53 back, getting back down to 53. So some interesting moves there. The practice squad, once again, Alex Barrett, Tayshaun Gibson, Alfredo Gutierrez, Taylor Hawkins, Quantrez Knight, Tay Martin, Marcelino McCurry-Ball, Jason Poe, Willie Snead, Akeem Spence, Keaton Sutherland, Kamoko Ture, and Malik Turner. Am I a top executive? I should be a top executive. I should be. No, I shouldn't be. But I'm very good at it when I play my Madden game and I play my kids on it. I'm pretty good when it comes to being a top executive on Madden. So no, I don't qualify as that though. Sugarnaut wants to put Poe with the tight ends. That position group has become stagnant. Maybe put him with the fullbacks. What do you say about that? I think when it comes to who's Mitchell's backup, Jeff Wilson Jr. or Ty Davis Price, I think that's going to be Jeff Wilson Jr. I think Jeff Wilson Jr. will be the backup. Ty Davis Price will still be the third guy, I believe, on the depth chart, and then you have Jordan Davis kind of spelling them at times if necessary. Why don't we look at Alec Lidstrom to play center? He was cut by the Cowboys. Why would I don't know. I don't really know why you would want to do this at this point. Alec Lidstrom didn't make the roster with the he was a rookie, didn't make the roster in Dallas. I'm not really sure where he fits with the Friars. Maybe they could bring him onto the practice squad. But you got that. He's not a player that I think you'd want to try to get on the active roster right away. But maybe to the practice squad wouldn't be the worst case scenario if you could get Alec Lidstrom. I liked him coming out of Boston College. He was somebody I thought the Friars could target if they went center in the later rounds. So I wouldn't be against that. Why didn't they go after Kenyon Drake? I think the Friars are pretty happy with the room that they have, and I think the four-man rotation that they have is pretty solid. Jeff Wilson Jr. is healthy now. Elijah Mitchell, I think, is healthy after spending a lot of time on the side during training camp. Jordan Mason is extremely quick and powerful. So Kenyon Drake, I'm not sure if that was something that the 49ers really needed to do to improve themselves. So that, I think, is the reason why they didn't make any moves there in that one. So there you go. Wanted to just come on, be quick about it, give you guys all of the rundown as far as the roster moves today. As I mentioned, the only move that was unexpected as far as the 53-man was Blake Hance being claimed from the Browns and Trey Sermon being let go, third-round draft pick from 2021. No longer a member of the 49ers. 13 players signed to the practice squad. It was a busy day for the 49ers. And as I said, tomorrow, the 49ers will return to practice. Prior to practice, John Lynch and Adam Peters will meet with the media. That'll be an interesting conversation. And then we'll get a chance to see some 49ers practice. We won't be able to see the team drills, but we'll be able to see the individual periods. So keep it locked into this channel. There might be some interesting videos that can come up that you guys can check out tomorrow as well. So I want to say thank you all very much for tuning in. If you guys can do me a favor before you leave, hit that like button and the subscribe button. Those two are the kind of the lifeblood of a YouTube channel. The likes help drive the signal. The subscribe means that you're locked into the channel. But if you do subscribe, please hit the little bell notification so you know when we go live, and that way you don't miss any of the content. If you would like to participate in the live calls, and also one last thing, get yourselves over to 49ers.pressdemocrat.com. That is the Inside the 49ers blog over at the Press Democrat. That's where my articles all go. And just put one up, and it's in regards to the 49ers quarterback situation, Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance. So check it out. Hit the like button, hit that subscribe button. Take care, everybody. Talk to you soon.